Go.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone. Pastor Sunday here again from Kyiv, Ukraine, and this is the review. You know, we promised that we'll always be doing the review every evening, and I hope that you are there you'll be waiting for us. Sorry for the lateness of today. We are late today again because, you know, we always have our Ask Pastor Sunday show. We just finished that show on Ask Pastor Sunday, and so now we are, you know, beginning this new one. But today's review is going to be totally unique. Today's review is going to be unusual. And so it's going to be totally unique. It's going to be totally different. Normally I am the one that takes interview from people. I'm the one that asks people to review whatever topic we had in the morning. But because of the topic we had in the morning was about my biography and about so there's nothing to review. Nobody has gone through my stories, my biography, and she's the one who is going to be the host today. And she's going to be asking me all the questions, and I'll be trying my best to give you enlightenment and explain to you, you know, all the things that has happened in my life. So all the things you would like to know about the life of Pastor Sunday, it is today. Today, not today. Today is today. Today is the day we are going to give you all answers about the life of Pastor Sunday Adelaja. So all the questions that Layo is going to ask me, I will be ready to answer. Please, Layo, here you are.
Hello, Pastor. Happy birthday to you once again, sir.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me on set today again.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor. All right, welcome, viewers. And we are celebrating the birthday of a legend today. But just a little bit about the man before we hear from the horse's mouth. Let's see a little bit about what God has accomplished in his life and through him. From a small village in a remote part of Nigeria to worldwide recognition, he is a best-selling author with more than 300 books in English and Russian under his belt. He's a highly sought-after and widely celebrated speaker of international repute. His work has been widely reported by world media outlets like the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, New York Times, CNN, Reuters, Associated Press, and so much more. He's also an advisor to heads of state and a world-renowned national transformation expert. He has spoken at the United Nations, the U.S. Senate, and the Israeli Parliament on different occasions. By age 33, he had built the largest church in Europe with 99% white Caucasians, an apostle and a senior pastor, embassy of the Blessed Kingdom of God for All Nations Church. Here is none other than Pastor Sunday Adelaja. Pastor, you have quite an intimidating profile. And I recently said to you, I said, you are such a man because with your profile, we should not be comfortable when we are in your presence. But somehow, we are ourselves. We are free. We are free to express ourselves when we are in your presence. And I say it must be from the fullness of God that you carry. Thank you so much for everything you had to us. Thank you for everything you do for us, sir. All right, so Pastor, happy birthday once again. And today I have a lot of questions for you. We'll be asking questions from your childhood to your Christian life, your university days, ministry in Ukraine, your family, your personal strengths, your success tips, and even much more. So I hope you're ready, sir.
Okay. I'm ready.
Yes, Pastor, you're on the hot seat tonight.
Yes.
And you do it to answer our questions.
Okay.
All right, sir. So the very first question I have here is this, please. Tell us a little about your background, when and where you were born, sir.
I was born in a small village in Nigeria that is called Idomila. Yeah. Idomila. Idomila means, Ido means the place of abode of Mila. Mila is the king of the land. Okay. So Omila. So the Omila, Idomila, Idomila. So the place where Ido Omila settled. The settlement of Omila. So Omila used to be a king. He was one of the name of one of the Awujales. It used to be an Awujale that was deposed.
Okay.
So when he left the city of Ijebu-Ode, he moved over to form his own kingdom. Okay. And it was a nearby village. He just walked a few kilometers and settled there and called the place, this is my own domain now. Okay. So it's just 1 or 2 kilometers from Ijebu-Ode. It's almost, in one. It's almost, all the Ijebu-Ode city has almost taken it over again.
Oh, okay.
But that's where I was born. But I was actually born in the hospital in Ijebu-Ode.
Oh, okay.
But I grew up in the Domila, so I don't call myself as a citizen of Ijebu-Ode. My father is from Ijebu-Ode, okay. But I still don't call myself an Ijebu-Ode citizen. I call myself an Domila citizen because that's where I grew up.
Ah, I see. Thank you for that. So, Pastor, will you describe your home, your neighborhood, and the town you grew up in? How was it like?
That town is still Idomila, about 40 houses, maybe 45 little houses and huts. Maybe there are more sophisticated houses there now. But when I was growing up, they were just small, little 40 houses maybe, and just one main street across the village, and it was very close. So it was like a compound that everybody knew each other. The history of everybody. And that's where I was growing up with my grandmother. I never had a father. I never knew my mother. So I was growing up there, and it was very peaceful for me, and very, very familiar environment. Only that, it was hard.
Okay, Pastor, please tell us about your parents. Who were they? You said, you just mentioned that you don't really know them, but how come? Who were they? What kind of work did they do? Do you have any idea? And what memories at all do you have of them?
No memory at all about my father. Okay. I don't have any single memory about my father. No memory. I just know that he's from Ijebu-Ode. Okay. I don't even know his name. I don't even know his first name nor his last name.
Have you met him before?
I've never met him. I can't remember if I met him when I was a child. I don't remember. Okay. But the name that I carry, Adelaja, is the name of my mother. Is the last name of my mother. She's from the kingship, the royal family of Idomila. Yeah, so the father was the Baale, or the chief of that village when he was alive. And then, so I know that family of my own family of Adelaja. Okay. My mother was one of the children of our grandmother, Rachel Adelaja. And Pa Adelaja, our grandfather, had like 12 wives. And so one of the wives was our mother, our grandmother. And my mother was the second born to, that follows after the firstborn, Kolawole Adelaja, and then my mother, and then, but my mother didn't go to school because those days they didn't allow the ladies to go to school. Only the men went to school. Wow. So my mother was not educated, but the brothers were educated. The senior brother Kolawole, and then Demorin, the junior brother as well, and then all the other brothers. But when it got to my sister, that I came after, the sister of the, my mother's, the very one, the last one, Alaide, she was already allowed to go to school, but my mother didn't go to school. Okay. But we are a community of agrarian community, farming and just going to the field to plant cassava and things like that. The evening Eba. That is only what I knew, unless there are some ceremonies. If there are some ceremonies, we could have ikokore, that's our local Ijebu food, and then we could also have rice. Maybe I will eat rice maybe 3 times a year. as a change, and he got correct maybe 2 times a year.
Wow.
And all the time it's just gari in the afternoon, eba in the morning, and then by the evening. So I was malnutrited, while growing up, and life was just so difficult. Yes.
Okay, somebody asked during the live broadcast this morning, but for the benefit of those who were not there this morning, the person said, what is your attitude to your father? What's your feeling about your biological father since he abandoned you and your mom when you were young?
No, I don't have any feeling of anger or any feeling of regret or any feeling of dissatisfaction about him at all.
Okay.
I don't know the condition he had that time. I didn't know the circumstances that facilitated what he did or that influenced him. Maybe the circumstances were beyond his control. So you couldn't blame people unless you are in their shoes. So I've not been to where he was. I didn't know his condition. So I could only feel pathetic for him that he didn't know what son he had given birth to. So, I'm sorry for that. And I don't even know his relatives now. Maybe his relatives are even suffering if they were so poor. Maybe they are still poor and suffering. I don't even know how to find them. I don't even know. So I don't have any feeling, not of regret, not of pain, not of accusation, but of gratitude that at least he was there to sleep with my mother and to make sure that to be used of God to bring me to this world.
Yeah, you did say that in your book, Olorunwa.
Okay.
You said you just believe that you're a product of God's miracle, that God used your dad to bring you into this world.
Yes.
And you're grateful for that. Wow. Wow. So, Pastor, I read Olorunwa, and while reading it, I had so many feelings.
Many people tell me they cry, especially when they read my letter to my grandmother.
Oh, Pastor, sure I did. And really, I wish Mama were alive. But anyway, let's just put that aside. So I had a lot of feelings. I was crying. It was so touching. So I want to find out, Pastor. I want to find out.
I just want to tell people that Olorunwa is my biography.
Yeah.
That is, I think it's on YouTube. I mean, on Amazon. So if you go to Amazon, you'll be able to get that book.
So what kind of hardships or tragedies did your family experience while you were growing up? I know this, but for the purpose of our viewers, can you tell us about them? Tragedies and hardships.
Oh, yes. Before, like I said, I never knew my father because my mother was removed from him. They were married legally, but the parents and relatives of my mother, they decided to remove him from my father because either he was too poor or he was abusive to her. I don't really know what the truth story is. So, but when she came home, she was already pregnant with me, 6 months, and they wanted to dissolve the marriage, and they actually dissolved the marriage, nevertheless, even not minding the fact that she was pregnant. So, but when I was growing up, my grandmother was bold enough to take me over and say, I will, instead of my daughter to suffer with this new baby, and for this baby not to suffer, I will take care of this baby. And that's why she gave me a name that is called Olorunwa. Olorunwa is my village name, and Olorunwa means there is God. Indeed there is God, that God is going to help me to raise this child. So I think when she did that and took that decision, things were not so bad for her because she had her children. One of her children at that point, 1967, was in France, finishing Sorbonne University. I think maybe he had finished and he was probably on his way to England, maybe to teach in Leeds University or on his way to Sierra Leone. Those are the places he went. So that was our firstborn, and so it was doing well. And then the other son was finishing University of Ibadan eventually, and was working in the Ministry of Economy, really doing well. And then this firstborn that called Kolawole Adelaja, that finished Sorbonne, became very influential. He's a brilliant mind. He was very brilliant. He's one of the most brilliant minds Nigeria has ever produced, you know, and he went to teach also in Sierra Leone, then came back to Nigeria. They took him to the ministry he became a commentator and an editor for Ministry of External Affairs. He was editing the book, the Nigerian journal that was representing and had been distributed in Nigerian embassies all over the world. And he was a national commentator on national television. And also he was a lecturer at University of Ife. Married an English lady, Susan Adelaja, had 2 kids, 2 daughters. And the daughters are my niece now in London, Ronke and Tinuke. And, you know, so they was very young when tragedy struck in our family. They say I had a sister. This sister was also not too much educated, but she was very smart. She was very frugal, and she was very good in business. So she was a business tycoon, the richest in the family. She was even richer than the brother who was PhD holder. But she was so good that she was wealthy. But you know, she was going for, you know, she was traveling on a business trip and had an accident and died instantly. And then the brother, the youngest one that was in the Ministry of Economy, was also coming back from the burial of the sister and ran the 25th of December 1972, that December, Christmas. Wow. He was going back home and ran into an accident and died instantly. Then the brother, the only one that is left, the senior one, the one that is, I said is a genius, you know, just ran into depression. He was so depressed, he couldn't believe it. It was just a shock because it was 2 weeks or 1 month later, you know, his sister died, then the brother died, and for 5 months he couldn't eat. You know, the Nigerian government gave 9 doctors to be watching after him and to treat him, and the University of Ife, UCH, everybody just provided, you know, attention to him. But his depression was so bad, he would not eat or anything. And you know, one day they said he had fever, and before evening he was dead. So 6 months later, within 6 months, we had all the lights of our family wiped out. So it was such a big news that the national newspaper in Nigeria, Daily Times, carried it. It was a Sunday Times, you know, front page, and the picture of my 2 brothers were there, Mr. Adelaja, and you know, that is this a tragedy? The title of the article is the family lost 3 prominent children in 6 months. 6 months. Is it a tragedy or a curse? Yeah. So many people in our place, because of Africa, of course, definitely believe it was a curse. Yeah. So they believed that our family was cursed and that witchcraft were after us. So everybody that could help us just disappeared and ran because they didn't want the curse to come upon them. Right. And our mother just lost consciousness. For the next 1 year, she couldn't come out of the hospital. And I was the only child left in the village.
That's your grandmother?
Yeah, my grandmother, yes. And that's why I had to go to the bush and be, you know, trying to survive, because even the people in the village were so scared as well, until my grandmother came back from hospital then, because she was already not doing that, because that's what she was doing before our children grew up and became prominent, going to get firewood and all that in the bush. But when they all died and nobody was there for her, she had to go back to the lifestyle. So that is where the difficulty really started. We had to wake up in the morning, go and get firewood, dry it, and go take it to this town on foot. You know, we have to trek to the city, sell it for firework for people, and then run back to the village to go back to the school. And they have to walk another kilometer to go back to school, to go to school. So,
and that was without shoes.
Yeah, without shoes. But so anyway, that's how I had to live till she died when she was 16, and then I had to take over the business. So I take over 3 acres of land in 3 places. I planted cassava in one, planted cocoyam, they call it.
Cassava.
There's something they call cocoyam, I think.
Cocoyam,
yeah. So I planted that one, another one, and then another one I planted corn. What do you call corn? Maize, yes. You know, so I was managing that, and that's what sustained me. And then my efforts of my sister Lide, you know, she was, you know, bringing some help to me, and that's how I was able to finish high school.
Wow, so touching. But then that means that it doesn't matter the tragedies we come against in life, we can always rise out of them.
Yes, we can actually turn them to our fool. They could actually go ahead to fool us, because in the university later on, when my teacher told me I will never learn Russian language,
Wow.
I just remembered the tragedy and the pain and the perseverance and the suffering that I went through in the village. And I said, okay, I will not repeat that. I will never go back to that village again to suffer like that. So I would rather work. I would do any kind of work that is necessary. So that tragedy was fueling me on one hand. And on the other hand, I said, let me even count the cost of the suffering that I need to do to be able to learn this language and to be able to finish the best students in the university. I discovered that no matter how much amount of the work and labor that I have to take myself through to be able to finish university in distinction is not even compared to 10% of the suffering I was having in the village. Wow. So I just say, okay, if I could survive that suffering in the village, I was using it to fuel myself, to energize myself, to even face my future challenges and to surmount them.
Right. So can we just say that somehow you have been prepared for these days and this time? Because I remember from Olorunwa, it was after Mama died that you became responsible for yourself.
Yes. Wow. Because when Mama was alive, I was always angry that why is it that all these tragedies has happened, and I was always bitter because all the children I used to play with, when everything was good, they were still doing well, and I couldn't go to play with them anymore. I have to go to the bush. I have to go to fetch firewood. I have to. I was a child, and I couldn't understand that. So I was bitter at her. I was saying, "What kind of thing is this?" So that anger,
you directed your anger towards Mama.
Because she was the only one around. So I was direct. So I became a very stubborn, very stubborn child against her, all my, all kind of. So it was when she died, then my eyes opened that, even this thing she was doing it for me, because I was the only one left. And she had always told me that Tieloju, that means
your own is is for your own greater good.
That I'm doing all this.
All this for you.
Yes, but when she died, and then nobody was there to take care of me, to give me food, and then my eyes just opened. I had to go to the bush myself. I realized what she had been doing. I said, my God. So I began to pray to God that God should not allow her to die, because if she comes back, I told myself I will become someone of significance. I will, become successful. I would, recompense her for everything she has done. I will, pay her back. But unfortunately, I didn't have that opportunity. But it has also helped me, because she didn't come back alive from that hospital. Now I lost the opportunity to say thank you. So now in my life, that's why I would never be able to pass by anybody. You said,
sorry, Pastor, you said that experience, not being able to thank Mama for all she did for you, is the reason why you lay down your life, go the extra mile to make everybody comfort. Anybody that you impact something, you deposit something in their life. So you are trying to pay Mama back by being good to everybody.
Yes, because I don't want the same pain and the same feeling of loss that I experienced, that I couldn't pay Mama back. I couldn't say thank you to her. I don't want to repeat ever that pain. The pain was so deep that I missed out on saying thank you to her. So I say now, anybody that I meet in my life, I will take advantage of the opportunity to do good to them if it's in my power to do it. I will not wait for the next day. I would not even say come back again, because I will have to take, because the person might not come back. That might be another loss, and I don't want to feel that loss, pain, sense of loss anymore.
Wow. Pastor, that's really deep. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And then this makes me know that whatever happens to us, we can either turn it to an advantage, or we can look at the other side of it. Like when we say, looking at a glass of water that is filled halfway, and then you can either say the glass of water has been full, has been almost full, or has been almost empty. So your own experience of not being able to turn Mama has turned you to the radical philanthropist and life changer that you are today. Thank you so much, Pastor. Thank you for going that route. Yeah. All right. So, Pastor, what was your most memorable experience as a child?
I had a very bad childhood, very painful. You are talking about positive?
Yes, Pastor, positive.
My most positive experience as a child was when one of my brothers came to the village, the junior one, and took me You know, I never knew I was important or I could be significant. But I was only about 5 or 6 years old. He took me into his car. He had a car. I came to see us in the village, and he took me and sat me down by the steering and said I should drive. I should drive like that. Yes. You know, that is the most fun I had in my life and the greatest memory of my childhood.
Oh my goodness.
But that was the last time I saw him. He died afterwards. And you know, nobody ever had a car in our family until I left Nigeria.
Wow. What about your sister? You call Sister Lady.
Yes.
How is she in Wish now?
She's okay now. She's in Nigeria. She's a school teacher and a minister and a pastor. But she suffered for me, and she paid a high price to make sure that I finished my high school, got out of that village. And if not for her, I wouldn't have, even with all my 3 farms I was taking care of, I wouldn't have been able to finish that high school. But she went a long distance to, you know, sacrifice her youth, basically, to make sure that she should take care of me, that I, you know, got my life in order.
And she even led you to Christ.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sister Lady. Thank you for your investment in Pastor's life. All right, Pastor, can you tell us all the schools you attended from there until now? Yes,
I attended, the first school I attended is St. Paul Primary School, Ilese. St. Paul Primary School, Ilese. Ilese is Ijebu Ilese. Okay. Ilese is a village near Idomila. So Ijebu Ilese is the place where I trekked to from Idomila to attend my primary school for 6 years. After finishing that school in Ilese, I went to Idomila Comprehensive or Community High School, Idomila Community High School. That is in my own Idomila village. They had secondary school at that point. Then, because they were merging all the schools in my last year, they merged us back with Ilese Comprehensive High School. So that is, I started from Idomila High School. I didn't finish 1 year, and I finished again in Ilese Comprehensive High School. And then from there, I won a scholarship to Russia, and I went to Belarusian State University. I finished first degree and master's there.
Wow. So what were your favorite subjects in school?
In primary school, high school?
High school.
High school, I think it was literature and English. They were easy for me, even though I never spoke English. But even though, you know, I never spoke English before I left Nigeria.
What?
I never once spoke English. Only one time I spoke English. When I went to Ibadan after my high school certificate, I went to see my aunt Susan, you know, the wife of my late brother. And then she was at home and she was asking me, what do you plan to do after your high school now? Okay. So I said, I'm waiting for my result to come out. And then I want to go and meet my brother in Russia, in Moscow, my brother Tai. Okay. And then that was the only time I remember I spoke English.
Wow.
One statement.
Wow.
Even though it was my best, it was my favorite subject because it was easy for me, the English and literature. I just sit down, I just hear it, but I never spoke it. Until I left the country.
Wow. So who was a favorite teacher in your high school and in the university, and why?
High school, I can't remember any favorite teacher because, you know, I couldn't even remember how I finished at high school. Because I was always thinking about how to go to the bush and get my firewood. And so I didn't even study as such. Only the last year when my sister came to me and said, if you don't pass WAEC is the most important thing. If you don't pass it, you will remain in this village. And I was in class 4 already that time. Only 1 year left. Wow. And I began to study hard on myself. So it was not because of teachers, you know, because in our school, you know, nothing as such, you know, no school, I mean, no walls, nothing as such. So I had to study hard myself. And that, thanks to that, you know, personal education and personal work on myself, I was able to finish very well my WAEC, and then I was able to finish my JAM very well too.
So, Pastor, is there any childhood?
So I didn't have a favorite teacher or anything. And in university, you know, I was just using the same principle, working hard on myself more than the teachers were giving me.
So no favorite teacher in the university too?
In the university, there were some that were not bad, but I was always even trying to get better than the teachers, because I read a passage in the Bible that says that you will be smarter than, you will be wiser than, it will make you wiser than your teachers. So I always competed with my professors. I never competed with my schoolmates in university. I always competed only with professors. And the professors always have debate with me, and they always say, you will become a great person one day. Yes. That was my level. Most of the professors, 90% of them, I was better than them myself.
Wow. Wow, that's fantastic, Pastor. Yes. So let me ask, is there any childhood dream or fantasy you have that have not been fulfilled?
Yes. I wanted to go back to my village and build a house for my mother, my grandmother, and make her understand, have experienced civilization, and have a running water, sewage, water system, toilets. But I don't have that opportunity because she died before I could even get out of the village. So now I have another dream that I've not done, that I have to do. I am planning to go back to Nigeria, and by the grace of God, I want to build a house for every person in that village. I want to rebuild the whole village, build a community or estate, and get a house for every family. And instead of just for my mother and for my family, I would do it for the whole village. That's what I'm not yet done.
Wow. Thank you, Pastor. All right. How did you come to know Christ, and what was the salvation experience like?
My sister came back from school and told me she had just had a salvation experience, and that I needed to give my life. I didn't understand what she was talking about. She convinced me that I should repeat the prayers, so I repeated the prayers after her, but I didn't know what I did. But I knew that something happened to me, but I didn't understand. So I tried to live right. After some time, I gave up because I went back to, but I changed my life in the sense that I stopped playing and I started studying because I didn't want to remain in that village for the rest of my life. But a few months after my sister, maybe a year after she had prayed with me like that, I was watching television and I saw this preacher, talking about God, and it was very convincing. And it was Pastor Kumoyi. I repeated the prayers after him. Then it dawned on me that this is what my sister was trying to tell me. And I, said I must find that church. I found it the next day.
Wow.
And yes, and then I was there for 6 months before I left the country.
So do you have any favorite scriptures?
No, I have so many of them. So no favorite scripture, no favorite book, no favorite scripture. I have so many, too many.
Wow. Okay, Pastor. What were your biggest challenges while in the university?
While in the university, my biggest challenge was how to keep away from sin, not to sin, and to remain a Christian. In former Soviet Union, there was no God. People said there was no God. Everybody was atheist, and everybody around you were unbelievers. I had people from 99 countries of the world, and all of them said they were unbelievers because communism, they were training us to be communists and to be atheists. So they brainwash everybody. Only few people could withstand their faith. Even the ones who are Christians from home, they denied their faith when they got here. So to just survive it, and everybody was smoking, drinking, was running about with women, sleeping with white European girls and things like that. And just to be able to stand around among 16,000 students in my university and not be able to repeat and do what they were doing when all your friends are doing the same thing was my greatest challenge.
Wow.
But God helped me.
Well, thanks be to God. And in fact, you were actually doing all of these things in Nigeria before you got born again. When I was reading Olorowa, I was just wondering, I mean, you were going to get firewood and everything, but in spite of all those challenges, you still had time for disco, you had time for girls, you had time for until your sister came to lead you to Christ. Oh, wow. That's great. Okay.
Because while I was doing all that, I discovered that, there was another life that my the people I wanted to emulate, my friends that I wanted to emulate, who were leaving.
Okay.
So each time, weekend, or anytime that I could get my mother not to, not to release me or something, or she's out somewhere, I would go and join my friends to do the same lifestyle they were having.
Okay, maybe you thought that would make you
I thought that was real life. I thought that was real life, but that was enjoyment.
Okay.
Everybody was sophisticated, and I was just carrying wood.
So you thought that was a sophistication?
Yes.
I see. All right, Pastor, let's talk about ministry in Ukraine. How did you arrive at the decision to come to Ukraine?
Because when I got a scholarship from the federal government in Nigeria,
okay,
I first of all got admission to University of Ife. I had the third best result that year in that university.
And interestingly, Pastor, you said there was a time in your childhood you actually thought your brain was blocked.
Yes.
That because you could not assimilate.
So that's what the teachers told me. They were always doing this. They were always hitting me in the head and saying, you are the only dull Adelaja we know. All Adelajas we know are brilliant. Your own is the only dull person.
That's child abuse.
Because because that's what they knew. And I didn't know that you needed to work. I never had books, and I never did homework. I didn't know that that's what differentiated the ones who are making it.
Okay.
So they didn't know, I think, that was my situation, where I was coming from, that I was always in the bush to get firewood. So I will only just succeed in rushing to come to class. And they would be saying, why you do that? I can't answer the can't. So it developed a make complex that I couldn't even react normally. Each time anybody calls on me to say something, I would be crying and be shaking, and there would be something like a stone in my, I couldn't even say what my name was. So I thought I was a dullard. So that's why when my sister told me and revealed to me that scripture that in Deuteronomy 28:13 that you'll be the head and not the tail, that was the greatest revelation in my life to that point. I said, wow, me too? He said, yes. Anybody say, whosoever will obey and follow with the laws of the book of this law, that will be the head and not the tail. It didn't say only white people. It didn't say only Europeans or only Israelites, but anyone that will obey. So that was what gave me revelation that, so those ones who are making it, they were not born genius.
Yeah.
He said they were not born genius. No. I said, so if I work hard, I will become like them. Yes. That's how my revelation came. That I will also become the head. I will only work hard. I will become the head. That's how I got to know that geniuses are not born. That it are born through hard work.
Wow, okay, that's another tweetable. Geniuses are not born, but it's born through hard work. I would love for you to tweet Pastor's special quotation this evening. Let's share them with the whole world. So you say you had the third best result in your university?
Yes, the admission in JAMB.
In JAMB, okay.
Yes, JAMB.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Everybody was failing JAMB, but I didn't have any problem with that. It was even easier for me than the WAEC.
Oh my goodness, third best result in JAMB.
Yes.
Wow, Pastor, that's fantastic.
In University of Ife. So that was the one, but I couldn't go there because I didn't have the money.
Okay.
Then also I had admission to scholarship to Columbia University in New York.
Okay.
But I couldn't go there because my pastor told me, because I needed to choose between Columbia University or Moscow University. Yes, and my pastor said, in America, there are a lot of temptations there. If you go as a 19-year-old, new convert, and you're only 6 months in the Lord, that, you don't know, you'll be tempted a lot. That if you survive it in Russia, that you survive it everywhere. So and I had a brother in Moscow. So I just said, okay, Russia is where I will go.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. What was the biggest challenge, or what were your biggest challenges when you started the ministry in Ukraine?
My biggest challenge was that the white people would not come. The Europeans would not come to listen to me.
Okay.
And so I needed to find a way to, we invent a way and come up with, ingenuity of how to get the white people to cross the street to listen to a black man.
Wow. But so there are so many people in this situation today. They have traveled to develop Nigeria for other parts of the world, and there are pastors there, and they can only gather the foreigners, other Nigerians with them. But they actually want to reach out to the environment, to the community. How can they get the indigenes of the land to attend their services, their ministry? How did you beat this particular challenge in Ukraine?
There are lots of strategies. First of all, you have to speak the language. And you have to be good in the language.
Okay.
Secondly, you have to adjust your culture, the culture of presenting the gospel.
Right.
You could still speak the language and still present the gospel in your own culture. So you have to present the gospel in accordance to the culture of the land. Thirdly, you have to also reach out to meet the needs of the people and understand that ministry is not about preaching or doing miracles. That ministry really is about touching people with God's love. And if you could make sure that you touch people with God's love, there will be wonders. And even people will be blind to your color and they will begin to follow you because the love of God will attract them to you.
Thank you very much, Pastor, for that. I have this question. What is the biggest concern for the church in Nigeria and the world at large?
My biggest concern for the church in Nigeria is that we are preaching the wrong gospel. We are preaching the gospel that the Nigerian church mainly is preaching is the gospel of salvation. We need to get the church in Nigeria to understand the meaning of the gospel of the kingdom. And only when we begin to preach the gospel of the kingdom, we will be able to, will the gospel be relevant to the cultural needs and economic and political problems and challenges of our land. But until we begin to understand what the gospel of the kingdom means, we will not, our gospel will not translate to changing the environment, changing the economy, and changing the political landscape. Only the gospel of the kingdom does that. The gospel of salvation only takes people to heaven.
Pastor, you know, this your message about how that the fact that we what we preach from our pulpits, we go in a long way to transform our nations, has been a long-standing message of yours. I actually discovered you've been preaching this for more than 10 years, but I recently just got to know in the book, Nigeria and the Leadership Question. All right, Pastor, so if you could start a ministry all over again, what would you do differently?
What I would do differently is that I would not pay more attention, too much attention to gathering crowd.
Okay.
I would rather pay more attention to gathering a few committed disciples.
Wow.
And I will spend most of my time to reproduce myself in them.
That is ingenious. Wow. Wow. All right, Pastor. So if you weren't a pastor today, what would you be doing with your life?
If I were not a pastor today, I would probably be successful in anything I do. It doesn't matter what. I don't even know. No matter what I do, I'm just this kind of person like that. There's just no way, because of what I know and the principles I operate by, I don't care what I do. I will be successful. Maybe I will be, if I'm not a pastor, I'll maybe be, I don't know, maybe I'll be in politics. Maybe I will be a billionaire. Maybe I will be, a publisher. Maybe I will be a journalist. Anything I do, I will just try to be the best. That's just my credo. I have got anything I do, I must do it better than any human being that ever lived, that is still living, or that is yet to be born.
Wow. Thank you, sir. So what keeps you going, even in the midst of all the challenges, attacks, and difficulties on your life?
Well, first, what keeps me going is the fact that somebody died for me when I was yet a sinner. I discovered and I realized that he sacrificed his life to give me life. I must show him something that I'm grateful. I must at least, even if I don't need to die, I must at least try my best to show him that the life that I'm now living, which is his life, that I'm living it in a way that he will be proud of. That's number one. Number two, I have discovered truth. And the truth that I've discovered about life will not give me peace and will not make me to just rest on my hours. So because of those truths, I will always try to do my best to be the best I am in everything. And also because of the needs I see around me, I cannot be just satisfied in my own comfort zone. I have to go out to meet those needs.
Thank you, Pastor. I'd like to ask questions about your family now, if you don't mind. All right, I want to find out, what role did the fact that you never knew your father play in modeling you into the kind of father you had to your children and the church?
Maybe it's not, I don't know what it means not to have a father or what I miss not having a father. I don't know if that is what played a role, but I know that, I discovered God the Father. And since I discovered God the Father and who he is, I want to emulate him. I think that's what has influenced me the most. I just want to be like him. I want to emulate the Father in heaven, and I want to be an example of that Father to my children. and to the church and to the whole world.
Wow, thank you, Pastor. So what attracted you to Pastor Bosse in the first instance, and where did you meet her?
I met her at a conference at a, we were, Pastor Wale Oke was having a conference for all students, Christian students in the former Soviet Union. So she came from her own town, I came from my own town, and I was interpreting there, and she was attending. Then I saw her. What attracted me was that I've never seen any human being like that. When I looked at her, it was as if she was transparent. It was like she had a fluorescent in her that was just, there was a transparency about her. I thought she was angelic. I've never seen a human being that was so transparent. And the thing that was transmitting through her was holiness, righteousness, uprightness, purity. I was just seeing all that in her. And I was just saying, wow, is she not married yet? I couldn't believe that any man had seen what I've seen and had not married her. They said she's not married yet. I said it's not possible. Are they blind? Everybody that had known her before, have they been blind all the while? I didn't know that God made me to perceive her that way because he was trying to tell me something. I didn't know not everybody was saying the same thing. Wow. I thought everybody was saying the same thing.
Wow. So, Pastor, what life lessons have you learned from her so far?
From her?
Yeah.
Number one, I think she has taught me to be more patient.
Okay.
And to consider and to go over things, to cross-check things more before I come to conclusion. And also, I think maybe to also be more meticulous. Those are the things I've learned from her.
She's an organizer to the core.
Yes,
Yeah. So in your book, Heavenly Atmosphere in the Family, you talked about the golden rules for a happy marriage. Please, can you just tell us about 3 of them?
First of all, you have to have mutual respect and honor for not just with the wife honoring the husband or respecting the husband. It has to be mutual. So the Bible says that obey each other in love. Before it said, wife, obey your husband. So only when you have obeyed each other, then you'll be able to demand from your wife now to obey the husband as unto the Lord. That's number one. Number two, you have to also learn to be the first one to ask for forgiveness. Be the first one to repent and to ask for forgiveness. Number three, if you're a man, make sure that you prove to your wife every day that she's number one in your life and that there is nothing and no one that is more important than her.
Pastor, I'm looking at the time, and our time is almost over.
5 more minutes. I think we started late.
We started late.
Yeah, okay, so we have some maybe 10 or 15 minutes more.
10 or 15 minutes. Okay, thank you so much, sir. All right, Pastor, if you were to leave 3 advices for your future posterity, what would that be?
Number one, I want the future posterity to know that real life is in understanding God and loving Him. That you have to discover the love of God, how to love Him. If you could discover the love of God, how to love Him and express that love to Him and prove your love to Him, and then prove that love to humanity and love men, you have discovered the greatest secret in life. That's number one. Number two, make sure your life is about service. Never put your own interest higher as number one, as the most important thing in life. Put the interest of others, how to serve humanity, how to be a servant to all, and how to be able to use whatever you've got to serve God and humanity. That's number two. Number three, responsibility. Try to take responsibility where you are, for yourself, for people around you, for your nation, and for the world in general.
Well, Pastor, these points you have made, they really strike a chord with me because this is exactly how you live. I remember, yes, I remember I've gotten to be in the place where you were before, but I mean the first time I really got to meet you one-on-one,
Yes.
and I came with my husband then, and you said something to us about, I will not say it on camera, about our love for God, about our fellowship, but we have related with so many ministers and nobody ever really said that. And that day, we didn't understand what you were saying. It wasn't, yes. We
It wasn't clear.
Pastor is strict. Okay, why does everybody say,
I'm not so strict.
No, you're not. But then that was just what we thought that was Pastor saying and everything. But many.
Why does everybody say what?
Why does everybody say Pastor is so nice, Pastor is so kind, you can relate with Pastor? Because I thought with us, you were straight because of that thing you said. But many months later, Pastor, we got to really know. You told us something nobody ever told us, and we found out that it was true because we also discovered ourselves. And so this is exactly the way you live. You model your message.
Because you have changed after that.
Yes.
You became different ministers.
Yes.
And different human beings.
Yes, Pastor. Yes, Pastor.
Because the reason why it looked as if I was strict with you, because that was what really happened. I can be strict. If necessary, I can be strict.
Yeah.
I can be strict to communicate love and to communicate truth. I can really be straight, and especially when I see that people are not getting it.
Okay.
I can, and the people want me to help them. I say, you really want me to help you? I will really help you, but I will help you with pain, through pain, but for you to really get the lesson. So that was what I was happy, because I knew that that particular thing was standing between you and your future. And it was like you are not seeing the thing.
No, we didn't, and nobody told us, and we had relationship with so many people that we thought should have said something that like, but
so, but I was thinking, I couldn't even understand that you didn't know the thing. I was thinking, were they trying to deceive me? Are they doing the same? Are they playing on my intelligence, or what is this?
Okay.
I didn't know. So that's why I said I must. If they are, I saw seriousness on one hand, but I then saw that. But why is this one missing? So I tried to really help you to break. I was trying to break you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You still remember?
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
But I know that once we get that removed,
Yeah.
that you people will be wonderful, and that's what has happened.
Our lives have changed since that. Since we came to understand what we're trying to pass across, our lives have indeed changed. Honestly, thank you so much, Pastor. Pastor, if you had one day to spend time with one great or famous person in the world, who would that person be, and what will you do during that time?
I used to have those dreams when I was younger.
Okay.
But today, I don't have any dream to meet any human being anymore. I've met almost every human being that needs to be met already.
Right.
So I don't have that dream. That dream is already behind me. And if I need to meet anybody who is alive today or who was alive before.
Hey, who is alive today?
Who is alive today. I don't have such a dream. There's nobody I'm dreaming to meet. I think maybe anybody else is dreaming to meet me.
That's right. That's right, Pastor.
So I'm not dreaming to meet anybody at all. I don't have the need to meet anybody, any human being. I've met God, and that's the only one that matters. If I've met him, I don't need to meet any man. If I need to meet them, I need to give them something.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much for that answer, Pastor. All right, so let's ask this. Which book did you read that had the most impact on your life?
I don't know. Too many books I've read that have impact on my life. Maybe Bible. I'm sure you are talking apart from the Bible.
Yes, Pastor.
Yeah, so I've read so many books that had impact on me. I don't even know what to say.
So do you still read? What's your reading schedule like now?
I must read, I must study.
Okay.
Not just book, but study. Website, research, order. I must study 3 to 6 hours a day. Minimum 3 hours a day.
Pastor, the research and everything you put in Nigeria and the leadership question is fantastic. When did you start coming up with all of these things?
University helped me since my university days.
Okay, because you brought history alive. Thank you so much, Pastor. Thank you. Do you mind telling us something nobody knows about you?
Like what?
Just something, maybe an hobby, maybe one of your success tips.
One thing with me is that I'm too open.
That's true.
I'm an open person, very transparent.
Yes.
And that's one of my principles. I said I don't want to live a secretive life. I don't even want to have a secret. I want to live in such a way that I will not have any secret. Anybody can just say, that's my dream. That's my. So there's one thing that nobody knows about me. I don't think there's anything like that. I always talk about myself and reveal everything to the whole world at all times. The only thing I could say, maybe from my childhood, that also some people know about it. There's just nothing that nobody knows about me. That nobody doesn't. That somebody doesn't know. It's nothing like that.
Okay, Pastor, would you dare list at least 5 things you are most grateful for about your life today?
Oh yeah, I'm most grateful to my sister Laide, that she, led me to Christ, and she helped me, through my life. God, she made me who I am today apart from God. I'm most grateful to the fact that my grandmother, took me over from my childhood and raised me up to become who I am today. I'm most grateful for salvation, that, I experienced God. And I'm most grateful that God taught me to seek Him and to become His friend. And I'm most grateful for the results that I have in my life today as a minister and as a family man. So that's my family and the ministry that I have.
Wow. All right, sir. If somebody gave you $1 million today as a seed, and they told you that you could not give it to your friends, you can't give to family members, you can't use for yourself, what would you do with it? Out of all your projects, we know about the Stephanie kitchen, we know about different projects you do. So which one of them will you pump the money into?
I will not pump the money into any one of them. I will go and look for an investment and topic, anything that I could invest in that will yield good enough percentage for me. And I will put a good size of that money in an investment or in a project that will be yielding for me, that will say $1 million every year.
Wow. And these are some of the truths you taught in Money Won't Make You Rich.
Rich.
Pastor, I read Money Won't Make You Rich. I read it from cover to cover, and then at the end of the day, I put it together, just summary, and then I taught it at a conference. Now, some white people were there, some Ukrainians were there, and when they heard it, they were like, "Are you teaching this for free?" Yes, Pastor. They were like, "Are you teaching this for free? We don't even get to hear quarter of this in some places, and we pay for them." The wisdom in Money Won't Make You Rich
is loaded.
Is ingenious.
Okay.
All right, so Pastor.
2 minutes. Okay.
Pastor, last words for the younger generation that want to be the next Pastor Sunday.
Fall in love with God and pay the price to discover God. Prove to God anyhow you can that you love Him above all things. Show your love to God. Prove your love to God. And once you prove your love to God, turn around and demonstrate that same commitment and love to everybody around you.
Wow, viewers, it's been an amazing evening with Pastor Sunday. I've learned a whole lot, and I'm sure you have learned, or you've learned so much too. So thank you so dearly, Pastor. Thank you for sharing your life with us. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. We love you and we look up to you. Thank you so much. Some people say they are looking forward to you celebrating your 50th birthday in Nigeria next year, and they plan to be there. So if you're watching from Nigeria, by the grace of God, Pastor should be in Nigeria next year, and we'll be celebrating its birthday together. Until we come your way again.
Thank you. Well, let me say to all our friends, I'm sorry I've not been able to read your commentaries today, but you can go and share this link. I think this testimony and this interview will be of benefit and of the blessing to a lot of people. So if you have been there with us today, please go ahead and share. Go ahead and press the share button, share the link, and let it go viral. Maybe my story and what you've heard could be a blessing to somebody else somewhere. Thank you so much, Lyle.
Thank you so dearly, sir, and thank you, viewers.
Blessings.
Bye.
Bye.